He might be the best looking, or certainly the most athletic CEO that we have in this country. I mean,
I'll co-sign that. I'll co-sign that.
Well, if we line up, let's take him in. You know, sports. I say we line up maybe 50 sports all over the map, and you have all the other CEOs who try to compete in the 50 sports. I think Aubrey comes out on top.
I already told you I'd give you a handy, man.
Yeah, you don't have to sell him, man.
Guys, I'm excited right now.
He will jack you off with his feet, man.
With those big old
He
mitts.
does yoga, bro.
With those big mitts. You're going to jack me off with them big old angry mitts. Hey, dude, he's the CEO. He's the face of a huge company. Don't ask him to participate in our total inanity.
Yeah, welcome.
Stock,
Welcome to
the stock just drops.
Yeah, deal's just done. He's like, you know what, man?
Sorry about
It would have been long gone if that was a problem.
That's true.
Dude, you've built this thing from scratch. I remember back in the day, I don't know how many years ago, Rogan talking about Onnit, talking about Shroom Tech, talking about Alpha Brain, because this is stuff he was taking. And he got obsessed with it, as he does with everything.
Yep.
And you guys seem to have built this company. And what I really like about it, I always say this when we were talking to you about, we're like, well, what do we say? Well, you have any copy for us to read since you're sponsoring the podcast? And you said, just be honest.
Yep.
Just be honest with what you do and how you use the products, which is what we do.
And we run with that. We exaggerate that for sure.
Yeah.
We ran with it.
But having said that, we do use all of it all the time. Like you take it every day. So,
Alpha Brain.
and I know you guys do, and I know Joe does. But I feel like part of the success was just the fact that you guys basically are you're selling what you yourself, do and use.
100%. That's really like the first benchmark. I don't make anything that I don't really want. And that's the priority of launch oftentimes. And sometimes I'll look back and be like, man, I could make some smarter business decisions here, probably. But I make stuff that I'm going to love and that our customers are going to love. And kind of worry about the rest, let it all fall in place.
And it started with Alpha Brain, correct? That was kind of the first kind of...
We had some squirrely hangover products before that, but then Alpha Brain was the real kind of redirection of the company to take healthy people even better, like really optimize people that weren't sick or weren't doing terrible things to their body, but really take people who are feeling pretty good and make them feel great.
But that's the thing. Like a lot of supplement companies, and I would say all supplement companies, very rarely put themselves to the standards you guys do, as far as like double-blind studies and comparing it to the placebo effect, which can be very powerful. And you guys have consistently outperformed the placebo.
Yeah, that's something that I'm really super proud of, because there's companies that have natural products like earth-grown nutrient products, and we're one of those companies. And then there's companies that do some pretty rigorous clinical trial research, but those are mostly using synthetic compounds, and they're more on the pharmaceutical track. There's not another company that I'm aware of that's using natural ingredients and putting it through the kind of rigorous clinical trial standards that we are. So that's kind of the space that Onnit is owning right now. And the results we got are incredible. I mean, first of all, we did a clinical trial on a healthy population group, which is really unheard of. I mean, most of the time you're doing studies on people that are highly deficient in at least some aspect, because then you're going to see more growth.
Yeah,
there's just more room to improve. So we took a healthy population, people with actually a standard deviation of intelligence above normal. These are smart kids from Boston, ages like 18 to 25 on average, like college students, and put them through, double-blind placebo-controlled trial over 80 different patients, and found improvements in verbal memory, processing speed. We hooked them up to an EEG, found that they were accessing peak alpha brainwave states, which is kind of like flow state, and all kinds of really
So how does
cool
that work?
results.
Do you know how the molecule actually works, or is it you just know it works?
Well, there's 9 different compounds in Alpha Brain, so each one is doing a slightly different thing, and that's kind of a little bit of the magic of the formula. We really kind of broke the mold as far as how we were thinking about it. Some of the main drivers are helping the acetylcholine neurotransmitter get enhanced. There's a compound in there called Huperzia serrata, which is an acetylcholine esterase inhibitor. Basically prevents the breakdown of acetylcholine.
I know what it does, dude. You don't have to break it.
We don't need that. We obviously
Duh.
got this.
Obviously, it breaks down the acetylcholine number 9 in the brain.
Yeah, so
Talking to me like I'm a
acetylcholine
kid
helps make you feel sharp, helps with memory. Acetylcholine is what the pharmaceuticals are focused on for Alzheimer's treatments and things. It's what keeps you like mentally acute. So that's the neurotransmitter of focus there. And then surrounding that, we helped, a lot of different other things that a lot of other supplements weren't doing. We put in L-theanine, which is generally something related to the GABA mechanism that'll help relax you. So while you're getting sharp and acute, you're still not getting kind of hyper and aggravated because of some of the other compounds. We found a really great water extract of a herb from South America called AC11. The herb is cat's claw, and that's a really good kind of antioxidant. It's actually been shown to repair DNA on a cellular level in some studies and in a variety of different other applications. So
did you have to deal with the FDA or no? Because it's it's kind of a loophole right now, right?
Well, the way that what the FDA is concerned about is safety as far as these things. They're making sure that all of these products are clean, that you're not making any claims that you're curing any diseases. And otherwise, as long as the product is safe and as long as you're not claiming that you're curing any diseases, they'll kind of leave you alone.
Right.
Except for, so they really focus on the manufacturing process, the ingredients that you use, and then the labels.
They're crazy strict, though, right?
But you guys are crazy strict.
Yeah.
You guys are crazy strict. One of the things I like about when the marketplace is allowed to function is that, Brent and I always talk about this. Most important thing with this podcast is authenticity. Yeah. Like you just got to be honest. And I was talking to Rogan about this. If somebody's going to sponsor, you've got to believe in the product, because otherwise, if you go for the short dollar, you're fucked. You're screwed later on.
Yep.
And I think that a lot of companies, for you guys, your word is everything.
Yep.
And so you're gonna be holding yourself to an incredibly high standard. You don't need the government telling you how to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a stress that I'm willing to bear. I mean, it's you take the steps to do it right, be honest, and it gets easy after that, because then you don't have to think. Then it's not like, what's this crazy strategy and these crazy secrets we're gonna hide? Just like, all right, well, tell what happens and fix it if it's broken. We fucked up a bunch of times, and we just like, hey guys, sorry, we fucked up. Here's what happened. Here's how we'll make it right. And I think the people who take our products and follow us really appreciate that.
So let's go back a little bit. So where did your obsession with health and fitness come into play? Because you're obviously a super smart guy, right? Double major. You've worked with some huge companies.
What was your double major in?
Philosophy and classical civ.
This is my kind of guy.
Oh,
you
no.
hear that?
Oh, no. Oh,
Well.
You can join Brian's book club Friday nights at 8 p.m.
Please. What books are you reading now, Brian?
Please.
Come on.
Hey, can we talk about books with us?
Let's talk about the symposium, everybody. Let's talk about Socrates' apology.
Let's do it.
But that is so interesting to me.
Right? So you don't see a lot of guys with that background get into the, fitness industry, really.
Yeah. Well, philosophy is about solving puzzles, and it's about solving the biggest puzzles that there are in the universe, and so that's what drew me to it. I'm a puzzle solver. I like solving puzzles, and I love health and fitness. That's what I like doing with my time and with my, with my body. So combining those two together, just solving the puzzle of how to actualize and optimize that health and fitness space was kind of natural for me. It's like the perfect application of the two things I love to do.
But so you're let's just say, for all intents and purposes, I know what your company's valued at and growing, and you're a very successful guy. And the fact of the matter is, you could actually sell on it right now and you'd never have to work again. Mm-hmm. So first of all, that must be a nice surprise. But also, how do you think your mindset and your life has changed now that you've reached? See, everybody in life is always like, I got to get successful, man. I got to do this. And they have this idea, the end point.
When they get to the top of the mountain, right?
And actually, in a way, for you now, it's really not going to be about money. It's about how much bigger you can get and all that. What is driving you? What's the difference? How do you feel now?
What would you say you do?
Besides playing your gold coins, besides order your servants around and survey your land.
Yeah, that's not exactly how it's going now. But, really this is about building something for a greater purpose, honestly. And, a lot of what people know me for is my talks about going down to South America and studying with the indigenous plant medicine kind of teachers down there and focusing on that. Onnit is a great way to get the body in good condition. It's about getting the body out of pain, getting yourself enough energy so that really you can focus on, what I believe are the most important things in life, which is your philosophy, your spirituality, your consciousness. And so for me, Onnit is a force that's creating a lot of resources, and I'm able to direct those resources back into what I believe is my higher mission, which is, affecting human consciousness. I think that's the game that I'm really excited about playing. So yeah, I can look at the monetary success, but that's not really the measure that I'm going after.
It's
I'm
nice
going
though,
after,
right?
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is fucking
But-
great.
but-
I'm not opposed to enjoying the
Yeah.
shit out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go on a boat. Like, I don't care.
Well, look at his Instagram.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I mean-
shit, I need to do something, man.
Yeah.
He'll be like in South Africa, like doing yoga and shit, all
Yeah,
happy.
for
I'm
sure.
like,
all,
damn.
all open and
I mean,
stretched, all 6'2".
This is like a great playground. We should enjoy the shit out of it
I
if
agree,
we can.
man.
Yeah.
But really, the game that I'm interested in playing is the game of just improving human consciousness, like getting people so that they're not fucking unhappy and miserable and sick and tired
Yeah.
and depressed. Like,
Were your parents the same way? Because I might be wrong. I think Joe Rogan told me one was a professional golfer, right? Is that right?
tennis player.
Tennis player. That's
Wow.
right.
Yeah, my mother was a professional
Yeah, what's
tennis
your
player.
P's and Q's? You play tennis, right?
I play tennis, bro.
Yeah, shut
Yeah,
your
You
mouth.
want no part of my serve.
Semifinals at Wimbledon, lost to Billie Jean King.
Dang.
68, yeah.
So now you,
She's awesome.
that's amazing. Now, do you play tennis?
I
'Cause-
do.
Yeah.
I do everything pretty good. Like, I'm not great at anything, but I do everything pretty good.
Yeah.
Makes
Don't hold my gaze when you say that because now my testosterone. I don't need T-boost right now. My testosterone just went up through the roof. I'll take my shirt
You're
off.
great at everything.
Thanks,
right?
buddy.
So,
That's what I
it's
like
easy.
to.
It's
The
like
kind of
an
attitude
easy
I'm looking
trump
for
card.
out of you, young man. And you are a young man. And it's funny because it's true. I think once you get to a saturation point where the money is there, and now it's a question of like, I've seen a lot of wealthy people who are lost. I've seen a lot of wealthy people who are doing whatever they can to keep themselves just from freaking out about the fact that they're at the top of the wall, but now they don't know what to do with
They're
their
miserable.
They don't know what to do with their energy. They don't know what to do with their imagination. They don't know what to do with anything. They get bored or they go, oh my God, this is it. So there gets to this point where it's a saturation point where I'm sure now the rest is, I got a lot more to live, probably about 7 years, thanks to Onnit products. and now you've got to figure out,
Well, they're only keeping score in one game, and that's the problem. If you're only keeping score in one game, and that's the financial success game, as soon as you win that game, you're fucked because you're out of games to play.
Yeah.
True.
Like that's just one. That is a game that I'm certainly playing, but it's the least important of the games. The game that I'm really interested in playing, as I'm saying, is human consciousness. So that game, I'm winning in that game, but it doesn't stress me out because I'm just barely scratching the surface of what.
When did that
what I really
happen?
want to do.
Define for me human consciousness, because a lot of people are young listening to this podcast and it's a general term,
Right.
and so a better question maybe is, was there, as a philosophy major, was there a moment or was there a thinker that influenced you to the point where you said, there's got to be much more than this. I'm not the measure of all things.
Philosophy gave me a good background of all the different schools of thought, and that was awesome. But really, it was doing the plant medicine work. It was going down, drinking ayahuasca in the middle of a sweaty jungle next to a river that scared the shit out of me, and facing my demons, facing my death, and seeing my, the capabilities that I might have if I used my philosophical mind and applied it to those ends, and really just getting people to enjoy life more.
How many fucking CEOs of a company would say that, by the way?
Well,
ayahuasca.
How do you even set that up? Like, you just booked a trip, you just booked a flight to South Africa? Is it South Africa?
South America.
South America. So there you go. So you just booked a
pronounced
trip,
Peru.
went down there, and then just started, what gave you the inspiration or the idea to just do that?
Yeah, I read a book. Well, I sent my fiance at the time down, and she was doing some yoga thing at somewhere, and some teacher read a passage from a book, and so she brought the book, and I read the book, and I looked up the author, and the author was leading tours down to South America, and I was like, screw it, I'm in. Like, I'm interested in seeing what this is all about, and it was just kind of like an adventurous mindset, and went down there and did it, and it just fucking changed my world at that point. I already had some experience with some plant medicines and did some things in the mountains of Mexico with a shaman, took some mushrooms, things like that. But this
Things got weird, I bet, in Mexico.
Oh yeah, things always get weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
You
the one
become an
where
eagle.
Your pants are off. You're an eagle.
Yeah.
Man, I'm an eagle. I'm an eagle with a big old dick. This is weird. I got a
This is
beak and a
weird, man.
dick. How weird is this? This ayahuasca shit is fantastic.
It's awesome.
That's gonna change my life. I got a beak and a dick.
So stupid.
Why do I
man.
see? As soon as I have to bring it.
Why'd
You're
you have
talking
to
about
take it there,
consciousness, and I
man?
have to take it there. I want to apologize to you in advance for this ridiculous interview. That's funny, man. That's funny. What are you? Where are you 20 years from now? I love those questions. King. I'm king.
Yeah, that's, hopefully at that point, Onnit is really I look at Onnit like the heart of a larger organism, and Onnit is just continuing to pump resources out and take care of the body. Because consciousness is really, for me, it's embodied. It's the best part of our mind, the best part of our spirit, all embodied in the body. I think a lot of people get it wrong when they think, oh, I'm going to work on consciousness. Let me go to the mountain and ignore my body and just let it all go to waste and just use my mind. Like, that's not real consciousness. Consciousness is bringing it right back into the vessel that we have, enjoying that for everything that it is. Your physicality, your mentality, your sexuality, your spirituality, all of that together, combined, embodied in a person, that to me is consciousness. So, I see Onnit as just continuing to pump out, really good products, really good things to help support that aspect. I see a bunch of books that I'll be writing. I'm already writing some now.
Nice.
And
Really?
pushing those out, and then just talking.
Do you meditate?
I do.
We had Tim Ferriss on the podcast who was talking about transcendental meditation. And he said that one of the through lines for most of the successful people he talks to is that they all do some form of meditation.
Yeah.
He said it's the most important thing that he does. He said if he could go back in time and tell his 20-year-old self, what would you do different? He said, I would meditate earlier.
100%.
Really?
And to me, I think it's not just meditation, though. It's about finding the stillness, because only in the stillness, in that space, do you find your real consciousness, which is your highest thinking, your best thinking, the way that you problem solve the most efficiently. And meditation is just one way to get to that stillness. Where there's so much momentum, our mind is racing, it's coming up with shit all the time. It's really hard to stop all that to get to your highest thoughts. So there's many ways to do it. Meditation is one of the best ways. Floating is another great way.
You mean the sensory deprivation tank?
Yeah, sensory deprivation tank. There's breathing techniques that are really powerful. Yoga is another great way. And then the plant medicines are another way. All of it, to me, is the same thing. It's just different ways to get to the same place, which is this deep stillness where the momentum of the mind stops and you can really take a breath.
And you do that every day?
I don't do it every day. I try to do something
He's doing it
as
right
much
now.
as possible.
I was reading a thing and it said you could do it you can meditate for hours. Is that true, or you have?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Meditation is hard. And one of the hardest things about meditation is that unless you know what you're going for, it's like wandering around in the woods looking for a creature you have no idea what
I
it
fall
looks
asleep, I'll be honest with you. Like a lot of times if I'm trying to do it and I'm lying down, I'll wake up like a half hour later like, that was a great nap.
My mind will wander. I'll be good, and then it'll just like take off.
Well, Joseph Campbell said that one of the ways to define yoga, I mean, the traditional definition of yoga, I guess, I don't know if it was from the Vedas, but it was the best way to describe it is the intentional stopping of the mind. Yeah. The mind is constantly rippling. Yep. And your endeavor is to try to get to a point where you have control over the rippling of your mind and whether or not to stop it or not. And that's the kind of stuff that...
Yeah, you master your mind, or your mind is your master. Like one or the other. It's one or the other.
I love all that stuff. I remember... I think it was a famous philosopher who said, I've never spoken to God, but I have heard him clear his throat. In other words, that you do get these, and I think all of us, this is what I find to be so fascinating about just the human experience. I think all of us at one point or another have had a moment where we at least get in touch with what I would consider our original self. You ever have that notion that I've always been here and that there is that regardless of all the stuff that moves around, including the meat that I live in, this meat cage I live in, there is something permanent and something that's always been here and something maybe that's experienced all of it. Like you get these moments and then you go, where'd it go? Where'd it go, man? I'm coming back. I want to find it again. And but that for me is so incredibly comforting. All my fear and everything goes away when I touch that moment.
Well, I think what's crazy is who I think it was Tim Ferriss. Again, we were talking about just how powerful the mind is. And he said, we have the capabilities to recreate anything as far as physical. But the one thing they can't do, he said, the one thing you have to take care of is your brain. Because we don't know enough about it to duplicate it. Like there's nothing out there that we can do.
You're talking about as far as like regeneration, like tissue
all
regeneration.
That stuff. Because we're talking about sports, and obviously, especially in combat sports in the UFC with what I do, it's an issue. Concussion is an issue. And he goes, really, you just need to focus on taking care of your brain. That's what you need to focus on. Everything else should be fine.
You're going to be able to print tissue and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's even hope for what's going on in the brain. I mean, it's still frontier, and so I see what he's saying, but I see a lot of hope there. And I think what it is the scientific model right now, it tests one thing at a time, right? And that's generally how it does, because if you have multiple variables, then it's hard to say what did what. But the way that you're going to fix the brain is not testing one thing at a time, because you need multiple modalities stacked on top of each other. You're going to need, floating with good supplementation, with possible, pharmaceutical intervention, with possible plant medicine, with possible, everything together is going to cumulatively make the puzzle. And it's just not part of the scientific paradigm to study that right now, And so I do think that there's a lot of hope, and that's one area that I'm really interested in, because I'm friends with a ton of fighters, yourself included, and a bunch of other people too, football players, hockey players, and just regular people who get their fucking skull crushed every once in a while,
Yeah.
So this is a huge thing, and so I'm looking to, stacking many of these things that might on their own just have an incremental value that's hard to show a p-value from, but together can be pretty impactful.
I think that one of the things about the human experience and human evolution is this: we are constantly. It's impossible to stop human beings from trying to discover more and more about themselves and more about the environment they live in. And if you listen to the way biologists now, people like Aubrey de Grey, but mainly also people like Ray Kurzweil and these futurists who are essentially computer scientists and things like that, inventors. They look at the body, look at the human body, the human even the human energy field. You can look at it as a physical component, but you can also look at it as an energy field. But it is a machine. Mm-hmm. It's a machine. And in many ways, a lot of them talk about how we're going to look back on this machine we live in as a very rudimentary machine, even though it's incredible. It's still fairly delicate. It's still fairly fragile. And as we reverse engineer every component of our body, including our brain, our muscles, our red blood cells, which we are doing now, as we are able to do that, we're going to not only reverse engineer these organs and this muscle tissue, we're going to make them better. And when you make them better, and you create an organism that kind of works, it's basically a better human machine with a brain that has access to all the information, because you can download information into it and out of it. It really raises huge questions, because that will be essentially a machine that mimics the human body and the human brain and goes beyond that. And then that becomes exponential.
Brian brought this up the other night at midnight to me, and I couldn't sleep. I was like, oh, shit, we're all screwed.
Because the big question that they always have is, as they're doing this huge brain project, and the Chinese are doing it, we have a brain project where we're trying to reverse engineer the brain. The question becomes, will the machines that we create, and once those machines develop their own will they have any respect for their biological heritage? Will they... Look, we don't respect our biological heritage. Will they then say, well, you guys created us, we're kind of taking up space? That's the big question.
Well, that's the fear that's played out in all of these movies, from Terminator to, all of the...
He's kind of full of shit. Am I right, Aubrey? It's kind of...
we've
all seen AI.
It'd be funny if
We've all seen AI.
Aubrey pulls out these
you mean Terminator,
graphs.
Brian? You mean Terminator 3?
Basically, but I go beyond that.
That's one thing that doesn't really particularly stress me out that much. For whatever reason.
You got bigger concerns.
I'm the same way. I think that there's a positive. I think there are going to be incredibly positive aspects. I mean, they were talking about how when you can have virtual experiences. I mean, this is later on down the road, but they were talking 40 years. As you can have virtual experiences of what it's like to be someone else. Because I think the internet, and speaking philosophically, and just like where you're building this Onnit community, I really do think that the internet has created a situation where a lot of us can, in many ways, at least imagine what it's like to be someone else living in another country. Remember, until very recently, slavery was the order of the day. Slavery, really less than 200 years ago, if you think about this, was the order of the day. You just took slaves when you won a war. You bought slaves when you had money. You bought human beings. You bought their totality, and you owned their totality. How they thought, and how they moved, and what they did, and for you. that's been the case for most of human history.
Aubrey, what's your take on slaves? That's like,
Well, Onnit has a solution. They're against it. Onnit is officially against slavery, everyone.
We'll make a stand. Yeah, a lot of people talk about how screwed up things are right now, and it's like, oh, we're all doomed. But if you actually track the progress of the brute savagery of humanity, I mean, look back to the Inquisition. You know, I went to a dungeon of the Inquisition when I was a teenager in Italy. It is the most horrifying thing you think of. Like all of the ways that they figured out how to torture each other, particularly torture each other's genitals. Yeah, it was like there's the dungeon of the Inquisition.
If you don't believe in God, your dick needs to pay a price.
If there's the dungeon of the Inquisition, and then there's the genital Inquisition section, which is like this whole other section.
There's just some dick doctor
things you. Burning hot pokers you stick in your dick and ways that you can rip it apart and things you can do to girls' vagina. It's like the most horrifying thing that you think of. And they were using these things on just regular people who didn't feel like going to church or were in the way and somehow. Yeah. Using these things in mass, you know, and burning people at the stake, tying them up and letting the flames come up from their ankles all the way.
And they would wave the smoke away. They would wave the smoke away so you didn't die of the smoke inhalation.
So that was like 1,000 years ago or less.
Actually, it was
like
in the 1500s. There a lot of people were burned.
600 years ago,
That's
500
intense,
years ago.
Man.
Yeah. And then you have slavery and all of this other stuff. Like, we're on this massive transition to what I would call greater consciousness.
100%.
So it's incredibly encouraging to me. And the thing is now, we have nuclear arms. And I think that's actually a good thing because we've taken it to the point where now a world war can't happen. Because if it does, we're all going to kill each other. Yeah. And deep inside, nobody wants this mutually assured destruction of the whole world. It's a fear that we have. But I think we're getting to the point where war is going to be obsolete because the weapons are going to be so good that you just can't do it. And that's actually progress. You know, whereas
even China, like they were talking about China, China has no interest in a huge military because there's a symbiotic relationship with the United States, for example, and as these sort of, they always say if goods don't cross borders, then armies will. I think I got that from Dan Carlin's podcast, but it's true. It's like there becomes more incentive to trade and make the world a better place and make money and drink good coffee than to go in there and annex territory. That's the old guard, the old way of thinking.
Old school.
Yeah. And
I'm pretty sure this is true, that we've never gotten in a war with anywhere that had a McDonald's.
That's right.
Like, we've never been in a war with any country that's had a McDonald's.
How about that?
And so, like, as soon as the trade is to that degree, you know, it's like, we're buddies now. We'll fight each other with different money and different tariffs and different other stuff.
Right.
No one needs to fight each other with bullets. Yeah.
Blowing things up is so, you know, it really is true. We've become much less brutal. There are pockets of the world, of course, that are brutal, but we've become much less brutal. Yeah. And the world in general. Mm-hmm. And I think it does come from the fact that we have an ability to, we're speaking the same language. We are being nudged toward each other. Yeah. You know, that's how I feel.
And even this police brutality, you know, people think, oh, it's out of control right now. It's always been worse. I would be willing to make a bet. It's just now they're getting caught.
They have capabilities to film it on spot.
People can see it. Yeah, and people understand it. And the information travels like that through a variety of different ways that can't be suppressed. So it's not that things are worse now. It's just that they're probably a hell of a lot better. It's just that, you know, these things are coming out into public attention.
And people are also more outraged. It's encouraging that you see a guy shot 8 times in the back, and everybody, including a lot of the white community, is like, that's fucking outrageous, you know?
Yeah, but like Aubrey said, it's happened before. You're crazy if you think that's
no, of course
But now, when you actually see it, you're like, oh my God, this is intense.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to stand for this.
Right.
It's the same thing if I went to Brazil, right? Third world country. You go there and you see how people are living. You're like, oh, my God, man. But like from TV, I just see, I see Rio. I see the ocean. You know, you see Copacabana, all that stuff. But once you actually see it and you're physically there, you're like, this is not right, man. You become aware of it.
Well,
completely different.
I always talk about growing up overseas, and I lived in, you know, most of the developing world. I was born in the Philippines, and I lived in Calcutta, and
Afghanistan.
No, but I lived in Calcutta, then Bombay, then Lebanon, then Pakistan, then Lebanon again, then Greece, and then Saudi Arabia. And as a kid, I also traveled to so many countries like Yemen and communist China, communist Russia. So I went to all these countries, and I remember one of the sort of the most difficult thing for me to negotiate as a boy was, why am I so lucky? I remember seeing real starvation in places like Pakistan and you see this stuff, or I remember in Yemen, you see these kids with no food or anything, and they come to your car and they're begging. I remember going to Africa. I remember parts of Africa where you just see real hunger. And I remember thinking to myself, I'd be in my air-conditioned car looking out at this stuff, or I'd be in a souk, a marketplace. And I remember just thinking to myself, how the fuck was I born on third base and told to run home? I didn't do anything to deserve this. I mean, nothing.
Yeah,
I just happened to have been born in the right place, looking the right way, to parents that loved the shit out of me, and they happen to have been on the right side of history.
And your dad's rich as shit.
Well, he was a white guy from Wisconsin who got a job as a banker. You know, I mean,
how did you not
luck.
get kidnapped and put in the sex slave industry?
Well, I have beautiful blonde hair.
I know, they should have
very
took
friendly.
You. Very friendly.
Dude, my mother,
Very
my sister
friendly.
walked around with her middle fingers up like, go fuck yourself. Me, I was like, I love everybody, which is how I am. My mother was truly afraid I was
It's a
constantly
little
gonna get-
dangerous, right?
There's a picture in India. This is in the 70s, 60s. My hair was so blonde. And when back then in India, we would go into, my mother loved to be just immersed in the culture. And a lot of people was seeing a blonde baby was just not very, and there was just a lot of people around me taking a picture.
Yeah, I remember I had curly hair when I was a kid, and I went to Japan. I had like really curly hair, like Afro curly hair.
Yeah.
And all the little kids would come up and touch it, like, what is this? You know, like, because curly hair
Where'd
is
you
just
grow
not
up?
a phenomenon. I grew up here in Southern California.
But you traveled.
Traveled a lot, yeah. And going back to what you said, I've been to some of those places too. I was teaching martial arts actually in the Soweto slum in Kenya. And the one thing I do know is the poverty there is unbelievable. I mean, you see sewage coming from one hut down the hill and just going through other hut. I mean, it's brutal. But the kids there were fucking happy. You know, they may have been malnourished. But there was a happiness there. There was a buoyancy there that I'll go to Greenwich, Connecticut at some hedge fund social gathering, and the sadness is just like seeps in like a wet blanket.
Yeah.
Mother Teresa said
Whoa.
that. Mother Teresa said she'd never seen such spiritual poverty as she had in the United States.
Really?
She said yes.
That makes sense.
Mother Teresa, who lived in the slums of Calcutta, who did so much work. She died, at the end of her life, she owned a mat, a piece of rope, and a Bible. I mean, she was a badass. You talk about a badass. Mm-hmm. And she coined the phrase, give till it hurts. And but she said, I've never seen, they were talking about poverty and how to cure poverty. She said, listen, I've never seen such poverty as I have in the United States.
Well,
They said, "What are
America,
you
it's all
talking
about getting stuff, right? It's like,
Spiritual
what can
poverty.
I get?
Yeah.
What can I post to Instagram?
You get lost. You know, you get lost. What kind of martial art were you teaching?
Just some basic traditional martial arts. I studied Tang Soo Do when I was growing up, and it was pretty basic stuff. We had another instructor there, and I was more the inspirational guy, and he was more the karate guy.
Yeah.
It was a cool program, but the problem is that every once in a while, civil war just breaks out, and it just crushes all the infrastructure.
That's tough.
You know, it's like we were there, got some momentum, and then civil war in Kenya.
God
It was
damn.
like people running around with machetes and shit.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
whoa. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really, really challenging. When I look at like the world mission, as I was talking about, like it's one of the most challenging things to do, because a lot of times you think you're doing great things and you may actually be doing harm. Like when I was there in Africa, the smartest Africans I met weren't starting businesses and worried about, you know, how to activate in their community. They were writing grants and figuring out how to siphon the money from the West, you know, that was coming in, because that was the best way to get money. It wasn't to start an enterprise. It wasn't to employ people. It wasn't to build a company. So we created this false game over there by just throwing money at it and not really paying attention where it's going. Be like, yay, I'm helping Africa. Here's money. And then people are like, well, okay.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
right.
So it's
The
a
big-
weird
the-
system.
Yeah, because one of the things they talk about is if you don't have property rights, like we're so lucky that we have courts that mean something.
Yeah.
And we have property rights and courts that can enforce contracts. Because when you make a promise in business, if people are able to break it because they have bigger guns. If you own property, you own a business, you own a house. If the government or someone who's friends with a big minister in government can come along and just take your property, you're not gonna bust your ass to create a company like Onnit when somebody can come along and go, I want it now. You know why? Because I have influence in government and I have bigger guns.
Yeah.
And that is
We're
the norm
changing
in
it
most
to
of countries.
I'm it.
That's it.
It's mine.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that is that is 100% the case and modus operandi of so many countries. And that, like you said, in Africa and stuff like that, it's very hard to get. And the other thing about aid to Africa and places like that was that the rulers, when they were getting all that aid, they no longer had to rely on their own population to enrich themselves. They didn't have to rely on a tax base. They didn't have to rely on the industriousness of their people so that they could then tax that money. They didn't have to foster entrepreneurs like yourself, which is really what if you really want to talk about how to make an economy great, you have to make it easy for people like you who have an idea and want to build a company around an idea and then employ a bunch of people. How many people do you employ right now?
60.
Yeah. That's 60 jobs.
Huh? Mm-hmm. Wow, I think it'd be bigger.
Well, if you count, we have a yoga company, Black Swan Yoga, that we own wholly. So that's another like 12 there, and the gym is another 10. So but the core of Onnit is 60.
You're in Austin, right?
Yeah, it's all. Why Austin?
I went to high school there, and it's awesome. And
yeah, it is awesome.
I really dig it. It's a good central hub too. So for distribution out to the West Coast, out to the East Coast. Yeah, it's just a good place.
I mean, you're a super busy guy, changing the world, Onnit stuff. What do you do like with your free time? What do you do to get away? What's Aubrey do besides meditate and go intense and get your eagle dick out and all that stuff?
And fire people
and kill people.
Eagle dick.
Your eagle dick.
Eagle dick.
What do you do? Just kind of get away, because I saw your tweet. You said I watched my first basketball game, and it was as a basketball fan, it was a horrible game for you to watch.
Yeah, it was.
It was a terrible game. That's not basketball. That was some bullshit.
I was sad. I love basketball. I was a basketball
You
player.
do like basketball.
Yeah.
So the sport. So obviously UFC. You go to a ton of UFC events.
Mm-hmm.
You watch your first basketball NBA game of the season.
Year, yeah.
Okay, and then hockey. You like hockey, right?
Like hockey because I got a bunch of friends who are playing. I'm friends with some of the Blackhawks.
So you keep up with it though.
I do.
Sports.
Hockey, at least, yeah, for sure. And football. I mean, now I'm in such a fortunate position. So first of all, to answer your question, everything I do is so fucking fun and awesome that it's like I don't have to separate work from fun, really.
Yeah.
So, but I do have to decompress, and that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, as far as sports, I like watching my friends now. I mean, that the enjoyment of that is so much greater than the alliances of, yeah, I was from this city and I liked these team once, but I don't really know anybody there. Now it's just like if I have a homie that's doing anything, whether it's fighting or playing,
it's more personal.
Then I'm all about it, because then that makes it really cool. Yeah. But yeah, for when I really just enjoy the shit out of everything I do. But then at a certain point, I have to get alone. Like I have to get by myself. Like that's the most important thing I can do, in whatever aspect that is. Sometimes I just go to a hotel and it's just room service and walks
by yourself,
by myself, and it'll get to the point where
that's my nightmare.
I even forget what my voice sounds like because I won't have talked to anybody.
Damn,
really
that happens to me.
Introspective, and then someone will come up and be like, "Hey, can I help you with this?" And I'll go to speak, and it'll be weird. It'll be like,
wow.
And that's when I know I'm like really in it, and I love it. That's like perfect for me.
Well, when I'm on the road and I spend all day alone, like you're just all day, like and by the fifth day when I'm really not talking to anybody, I mean I do stand up at night, but a lot of times you're just spending all day alone, and it's so true. You kind of go, I just spoke for the first time, and it's 8 o'clock at night. Like, it's really surreal. Yeah. And then I've been alone all night in my own thoughts, and then all of a sudden, and now a bunch of people, now audience, one guy, lights, go. Huh?
I need to get better at that. I need some tips, man, because I hate being alone. Like I leave for I leave for Connecticut next week, and I do ESPN. So I'll shoot Sports Center for like maybe 2 hours, but then I'm in the hotel all by myself for the next,
texting me, sending me pictures.
Just like in my bed, just like
condor dick.
Check this eagle dick out, bro.
Hey, Brendan, stop sending.
I just gotta get it. I
hate.
I don't know why. I like being around people.
Have you ever
all
been
the time.
in a float tank?
No.
You got to do that.
I'm a little claustrophobic though.
You won't be.
Well, you got to just push through that shit, man.
Really?
Yeah. You'll be all right. You're gonna live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to understand that there's nothing actually that's gonna happen to you. So you got to burst that artificial fear, knowing that there's no danger.
Yeah.
You just got to hear me go
chink. Have fun.
Have you been in one?
Yeah.
Really? You went in Joe's? About that too. Did you go in Joe's?
No, I went to the one in Venice.
What's the point of it? So you're in a tank and you're just floating, right? And your body's immersed in the water, and just your head's out?
So water's the same temperature as your skin. There's no sight, there's no sound, there's no smell. So all of your senses are completely gone. I mean, you can kind of feel the water, but you're weightless in the water because you're floating, and it's the same temperature as your skin. So it feels like you're in outer space.
Yeah.
And so much of our brain is occupied with tracking different sensations, like the things you hear, the things you feel, the things you smell, like all of the things you see. All of this is going on, like compute. Is there danger? Is there something I want to hump? Is there something I want to eat? And whatever, like all of
that's exactly how my brain works.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's how everybody's brain works. And so in there, it's like, man, there's nothing to do. I'm just going to check out. So that part just checks out. And when that part checks out, that's when you get that really high level thinking where you can problem solve your life, think about relationships, business, your sport, fighting.
Yes.
I mean, it really lets you get deep without all the distractions that are normally going on.
Time.
I'm sold.
2 hours went by.
Sold.
2 hours went by, and I didn't think I could do it. And I got in there. I think 2 hours and like 15 minutes went by, and I couldn't believe it. I was like,
how
wow.
long do you usually go? Like, what's the time limit usually? Like, what's that? What's a good time?
I like 60 minutes personally. I mean, you can go longer, but for me, 60 is fine. You know, I get in. It takes me usually about 15 minutes of fidgeting around and screwing with the water and like letting my brain do its thing, and then I get about 30, 40 minutes after that where I'm just.
It's salt water too,
in.
so you float.
You got your trunks on, or you just got your 3-piece eagle dick hanging out in the water?
Eagle dick.
Really, just hanging,
just bobbing,
like a Loch Ness monster hanging out of this dark fucking.
And it's floating like a motherfucker too. It's just bobbing up and down.
Mine looks like a periscope. It's just shooting straight up.
Like
in
a
the air.
submarine, just like
angry,
just wide awake the whole time.
When I shut my brain down, my dick goes crazy.
So ridiculous.
I know,
dude. You definitely sold me.
We'll go, bro. I know where it is. Let's
I'm
go.
not doing it with
you
you.
and I.
No,
in the same.
I'm gonna do it
tent.
with Rogan. I'm not doing it with you.
You and I holding hands.
I don't trust you.
Like this.
Man.
Watch. Ready?
We're just like
hey,
this
hey, bro.
in the tank.
Hey, bro. How you doing?
And all of a sudden, just the eagle comes over. Like
You just see my
Was that
hand.
a feather? How'd you get a feather in here?
You
It's
hear
not
this.
even wet.
You hear. This is gonna taste salty.
Oh, hell.
See what happens? We're trying to have a serious conversation.
I'm sold though. I'm going in that tank, man.
Yeah. You do definitely need to learn how to be alone.
I'm the worst at it.
Well,
that's a great start, because then you'll see the benefit of it, right? Because now people like, why should you be alone? You don't know, because you've never done it and you've never seen the benefit. Floating will show you the benefit of that, and then you'll start to crave it, because you'll see the value from it. And that's why I like doing those things. Like before, I wouldn't even tell you to do start meditating until after you've done that a couple times and seen like how cool that is, and then figure out how to re-engineer how to get to that state without the tank. Whether that's whatever method you use, transcendental meditation. I use something called Vipassana meditation, where you focus on the breath as it flows through your nostrils.
I've done that. You view it as like almost a white energy. That's how I was doing it. Like
and that's helpful, but it's still hard as shit. The float tank makes it way easier.
It's so hard. Are you a reader? You read a lot?
I read a lot.
Yeah. Can you explain to Brendan why that's so important, please? and are you a novel reader? What do you read most?
I've read a couple novels that I really liked. I like the kind of didactic novels. Like there's a novel called The Fifth Sacred Thing, which takes this utopian future somewhere in the future and describes how the society lives and describes the conflict with a dystopian society. And so things that explore those topics in fiction, I think, is really interesting to me. Another book called Island by Aldous Huxley is another great example of that.
Yeah.
I really like fiction like that, but otherwise it's generally, I'll just go straight for the philosophy, the nonfiction of it. And I read the Game of Thrones series though, because I watched the first season and it was so badass that I just was too curious.
What do you think of the books? I love the series.
Are the books better than the series?
Hard. Yeah.
No.
That series is badass.
The series is badass.
Really?
Like the series is better than the books. Like everybody's like, oh, the books are better. Bullshit. The books were not better.
Really? The
series is better than the books. The books are good because the story's awesome. But they're so long. It's like he talks about every meal that these people eat, and they woke up to honeyed cakes and
it's gonna check me out.
apricots, and like just fucking get to the point. What's going on.
Have you ever read any Joseph Campbell?
I have, yeah.
Hero's Journey. What's that?
Yeah, Hero's Journey.
Yeah, it just a lot of your philosophy and a lot of like when I hear you talk on the website about Onnit and the mission, it's influenced by that. He was a huge influence on me. Yeah, he just made everything okay. Like sometimes you'll read a thinker who galvanizes all the ancient mythologies and thoughts. He was a scholar in both Eastern and Western mythology. And when I say mythology, I'm speaking about religion as well. And he contextualizes it. And he was one of those people that kind of put it all together for me, where I realized that regardless of what my status is or what my accomplishments are on the outside, there's another way out. There's another beautiful way to live your life. And he always talked about following your bliss and said that there is great security in insecurity. If you are always going for security, if you're always going for what's creating a predictable life, a lot of money, a roof over your head, status, and we all do this. Human beings have a predilection to kind of put things in their categories so we can move forward. He said, there is, you'll pay a price for that, and you'll lose adventure, and you'll lose spontaneity, and you'll lose the excitement of what this human experience could really be, which is, listen, be irrational. Go for something. Try to change the world. Try to slay a dragon. It's really... It really is where the gold lies.
Aubrey,
I never forgot that.
I don't see you slowing down anytime soon. What about kids, man? I feel like you'd be a great dad.
Yeah. I think about that a lot. My sister had a kid, and that was the first time.
How old are you?
I'm 34.
Jesus.
I'm not old.
Yeah.
I'm 14 years older. Keep going.
Yeah, my sister had a kid, and the kid's like, the first time I've looked at a kid and been like, oh man, this is awesome. But I'm kind of like leaning on that as like a surrogate kid, like I get to be the cool uncle, like not clean the shit, but just to get to like download my ideas into it. But eventually, you know, I'm thinking about having a kid.
Have people around you changed? Have people around you changed? The closest ones who've seen your success, like this huge company now.
People don't change very much or very frequently. You know, honestly, it's more they stay fairly consistent, and you just have to find out whether, you know, that fits in your life as it is now or it doesn't, you know. And sometimes you can get a little sentimental about it. Like, I have friends that we used to be really close, you know, but it's just we don't really relate that much anymore. And we try to relate on the old stuff, like picking up girls or something like that. And you just kind of phone it in, but you know it's a different world now. It's not the same. It's not just two homies taking tequila shots.
Yeah, that's exactly what Brian and I were saying. Like, we've had so many friends along the way where you, at that time in your life, you related and you had all this stuff in common, but you keep going here, and somewhere along the path, they you know, it's not that it's a bad thing. They do their own thing. Yeah. But you don't have that in common anymore. Right. And that's why Brian and I get along so well, because we have a similar goal, right? Similar mission. So we're both going like this, and a lot of super close friends who I thought we're like brothers, man. Like you said, we'll talk now, and I try to relate. We'll talk about like old college stories. Or, let's go get chicks. I'm like, I guess, man. I mean,
I think a lot of that is...
You're 30 as fuck. I guess we'll go to happy hour. You're super old, man. It's like, it's not cool.
Well, I think a lot of, like, if you think about when you're a boy or you're a young man and you've got these great friends, so much of it is sort of built on the idea that we're going to go on we're in the middle of an adventure, and we got a lot more adventure to go. Like, just think about what we're going to be doing when we're 40. And there's this sort of trajectory of the unknown. And then when you get to a certain age, you're like, man, you got some roots here. You're sitting here, and I'm going there, and I don't have a lot in common with you because I have a very different outlook, or I'm kind of trying to move this way. And it's a really interesting momentum and direction.
Well, if they're not inspiring, if they don't bring something to your life, I'm not saying money doesn't make someone inspiring or add to the
teach
quality.
Me, make me laugh.
Yeah, make me better. If you make me better, we have a similar goal, you're positive, I'm down, man. I'll surround myself with that. Yeah. But if you're off here to the side complaining about life and all this stuff, I just can't deal with the negativity, man.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. I think you start talking about other people to make yourself feel better. Like who is I love that quote by Lady Bird Johnson, who said, simple minds talk about people. Good minds talk about events, and great minds talk about ideas. Yeah. And that's very true. They're larger concepts in life. If you focus and concern yourself with the bigger ideas, this kind of goes back to what we're talking about. It's just follow your bliss and dare to dream and dare to be ambitious enough to, not about the money, that'll come, but really kind of let's see. Like, I always think about this, like I'm shooting this special. For me, it has very little to do with the status and the laughs. I swear to God. It has more to do with, I want to get that out there. I want to put that out there and then start from scratch and see what else I can come up with.
Yeah, for sure be funny though, huh?
Yeah,
we got a lot of people coming.
Oh, I'll be fun.
For sure.
Oh, I think I'll be funny. Yeah. I think that's my specialty.
It is your specialty.
May 24th, Irvine Improv, irvine.improv.com.
We will all be there.
Yeah.
That's gonna be Aubrey, how, because especially along your path to success, we have a lot of friends in common, same group of people running the same kind of wolf pack. You don't have many enemies. You really don't. No one really says a bad word about you. How do you, because people talk some shit about the kid and I. You know what I'm saying? Like
People talk some shit about me too.
not in general. You know what I'm saying? Like you won't hear a bad thing. We know a lot of other very successful people who run certain companies where some of them have a bad rap or they have this kind of ego or persona.
Well,
but
how about the people we were
it's
with?
just not there.
You remember all the people we were with at Park City? Really wealthy people with lots of success. Couldn't stand being around them. Couldn't stand it. Like,
One guy talked shit about Michael Jordan. I was all, huh?
Yeah, like big money and people who owned huge companies that you would know about. And I was like, I want to get the fuck out of here.
Oh, it was miserable.
Well, I think one of the things about me is I know that I'm fucked up. Like, I'm very aware that I'm fucked up and that everybody's fucked up.
Define fucked up.
You know, there's aspects of me that are far from what I want them to be. You know, like, I still choose fear over having faith when faced with the unknown in the future. You know, I still get sad sometimes. I still get confused sometimes. I still, like all of the things that everybody deals with, I don't pretend like I'm above that. I'm still working through all of that
This
shit.
is awesome you're saying this because I love that young people know this. They need to hear this.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
You are a
Finish
young
though,
person.
huh?
But keep going.
I mean, it's like so many times you pretend like I got it all figured out. I got all the answers. I fucking hardly know shit. I know more than I knew then. I'm just a little bit less ignorant, So having that kind of awareness that, I'm fucked up and I still don't know shit, but let's figure it out. Let's sort out everything that we can together and figure it out. And that way, when you see somebody else, you don't look at them with judgment. You look at them like, okay, well, that's where they were. And I relate to that because I was at that stage at some point too. And so you look at them like you living a different life or at a different stage of your own life instead of this kind of positioning, which is really, unnecessary. As soon as you like drop all that and realize we're all just trying to figure it out, it gets really easy to relate to people and not try to position yourself.
It's not an ego thing to you anymore.
Yeah, because real self-worth doesn't come from jostling amongst these other individuals. It comes from knowing yourself. And I think that's probably, if I had to go back and say the most important thing I've done is I've done the work to get to know who I am at like the deepest level. If someone says like, who am I know that. I know that for sure. And knowing that, it doesn't matter what's happening externally to validate that. Like I'm already aware of what that is because I've gone deep inside through all of these things, floating, meditation, plant medicines, thought,
You're not going to get
philosophy.
pulled one direction or another.
Yeah,
like
I know what that is, so I don't need to prove it in any particular way. And you get caught up in that. It's not like I've always been like that. You prove your masculinity by the girls you can get. You prove it in the sports that you do. But there's a certain point where you don't need to prove it. You can just do it for fun.
Yep.
It just becomes instead of something that you have to do, you need to do to bolster yourself. It's just play. It's like let's play at this. Let's play at games and competing and sex and let's have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Say sex again.
We talk about it all the time though. How many we have buddies who are like, bro, check out this girl, man. Check out this girl. I'm like, very cool, man. Yeah, great, bro.
Is that your accomplishment?
It's like,
Can I see the notches
man.
on your dong?
Yeah, it's like
Jesus.
yeah.
Let's go to some
Current events?
some current events. Let's
You got
get
some
Aubrey
good ones,
involved
Ev?
in-
I do. Let's do it.
Do you watch TV, Aubrey? Do you have time to watch TV?
Not really, man. I
Yeah.
watched a couple, Blackhawks are playing, the fights are on.
Yeah.
That's what I'm watching really.
All right.
Game of Thrones.
Just checking. Just checking.
Been trying to get Shop to watch Game of Thrones for a while now.
I know, but someone told me there's dragons
resistant.
into it.
Hey, bro. Watch Game of Thrones. You
I
got
know.
2 people now telling you to watch Game of Thrones. I'm not going to tell you again.
I know. And the entire Twitter universe tells me all
You
the time.
got the CEO of Onnit telling you to watch Game of Thrones. Watch Game of Thrones.
For the love of God, just watch the damn show.
What
already.
season are they on now?
For the love of God.
4, right?
Five? Is it 4 or
I've
5?
never seen it.
This is 5. I believe.
Halfway through 5 right now.
I'll check. You watch it, Kay? You love it? That means no.
That was kind of a weak
Yeah,
response.
she's all, it's cool.
I think Vikings is better. Do you watch Vikings?
I don't.
Well, I don't watch Vikings, and
I'm sorry. Vikings are real.
I've never seen it, and it's not better. There, I said it. And that's an objective fact, and I would like you to leave my studio at the moment. I'm just being
What you got, Ev?
All right, first one for today. North Korea executes defense minister with anti-aircraft guns because he dozed off in a meeting.
Jesus, man. It's intense.
Well, the North Koreans have proved one thing, and that is they are the biggest assholes on the planet. That's all we need to know.
You honey dick me? I honey dick you.
You honey dick me?
Anti-aircraft.
He's like, honey dicking me, bro. Don't let him honey dick you.
Tell you what.
Not only did they execute a guy just for falling asleep in a meeting, They used a gun that's used to take down planes.
Destroyed him.
Yeah.
Well, was he in a car? He's just walking by and they just opened
Dude,
fire.
they just like tied him to a fucking pole.
And
Damn.
obliterated him. The idea is to get rid of any trace of him. Like, it's not just enough to kill because then you got to do something with the body. Let's vaporize the guy.
It's probably the best way to go, right? That might be better than a firing squad. You're not gonna feel anything.
Better than death by BB gun.
Yeah, or the old stuff you're talking
That's
about.
hilarious. Death by BB, and now death by BB gun. It's true.
Or
Like,
the
I
old
always
stuff,
say, would
yeah.
you rather die by being like attacked by a shark or by a human biter? Somebody who bites you to death would suck. It takes
Marv
a long
Albert?
time.
Death by Marv
Yes,
Albert.
yes.
Just in panties. Yes. Yes.
Great white for sure.
With that toupee, it'd be a disaster. Yeah.
Still not half as bad as the shit they used to do a couple hundred years
That's
ago.
what I'm saying
Yeah,
with the
true.
Really
dick
is.
mutilation.
That was horrible.
That's terrible,
That was
man.
stuff.
Yeah, hell exists on Earth, guys.
You ever seen an Iron Maiden before?
Sure have.
I saw it.
Holy hell.
I have not.
It's, Aubrey, you go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, so it's like basically a coffin that's shaped like a person, but it has spikes in it, and it slowly closes all of these like nail
Jesus,
spikes,
man.
so that it's piercing your skin slowly until
It's
it kinda
terrible.
meets and
Wow.
It's a good time.
smashes you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds
They
cool.
used that back in the day, huh?
They
Oh
use
yeah,
that
you'll
back in
sit
the
there.
day.
You'll sit in there for a couple days. You have a good time.
Well,
They'll
you're
just,
gonna
they'll
die-
just
you're gonna
slowly
oh,
crank
really?
it down.
Oh,
slowly
wow.
crank it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some evil
Evil
shit, man.
Evil shit. Evil shit in the name of that which was the most good. You know, that
That's
presence
crazy.
which is all love. The
If you
pure
were,
creative
yeah,
force,
if you were,
know?
if you were a heretic.
Did you grow up a religious guy?
No.
Is your family?
What's
No,
your
no.
nationality, Aubrey?
I didn't
You're
know,
obviously
so I
Apache
did like the
Indian.
DNA test.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a little bit Indian, but
Of course.
they found that I'm mostly Gypsy, Roma
Really?
people.
You're Roma.
Roma people.
Look at that. That explains the caramel hue to your skin.
Gypsy.
Ah,
My
gypsy.
dears have special powers.
He's tanner than
My
I
tears.
am.
Only I would cry.
Please, how much for your gypsy tears? How much for just small vial of your gypsy tears? Perhaps we capture him and we take his tear ducts out. We have money. We can make money. Have special powers. That's the secret to all of Onnit's supplements. Aubrey
Tears.
cries. He cries
cries
in the
all the
alpha
time.
brain.
Tear in every batch.
One single tear. You wonder why your dick is so hard all the time? Because of Aubrey's gypsy tears. My fucking gypsy tears! Time for me to cry! I cry in every fucking vat. Keep stirring, you fucking manservant! God damn it. When are you going to sell Onnit tears? I would buy the shit out of those.
Gypsy tears.
Brian, why are you flying? Brian, why do you smell like apricots and why are you worth millions? Because I take my gypsy tears! Pure gypsy tears from Aubrey.
Makes sense though.
Aubrey Marcus is not a gypsy name. Let's
No.
change her name
Yeah.
to Guafwa.
Guafa.
I don't know
What else you got, Ev?
All right,
Hey,
second
man,
one
hey,
for
hey,
the
bro.
day.
Yeah, what else you
What's up?
got?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to
Come
know
on,
what else I
Beard.
got?
Yeah.
Well, let's just get right into it. We need to defend Schaub's honor right now.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Ronda went on Opie and Anthony the other day. And she was talking about her reasons for posing nude for the ESPN The Body issue. And she said that one of the main reasons was because an old ex-boyfriend of hers had taken a bunch of like nude pictures of her, and she found them, like, and he didn't know that she knew that he had taken them. So she basically, her in her brain was like, in case he ever wants to do something with these, I'm just gonna beat him to the punch and pose nude. We got a bunch of tweets saying, was that ex-boyfriend
It was
Schaub?
not Brennan Schaub.
There's no chance it was Schaub.
No. It wasn't me at all. I know who it is. I'm not gonna out the guy. It was a boyfriend way before me. Way before
Yeah.
me. The guy's a tool. Yes. Ronda clear that up. No, I would. Come on. Why would I do that?
You'd
I
never
love
do that.
Ronda. I would never do that. That's stupid.
Too much respect for her.
Why would I take pictures of girl and hide it? What the fuck am I gonna do with it?
You have pictures of me
Yeah.
naked. You have naked
Well-
pictures of me, though.
No, it's stupid.
One, the time frame was off, so I knew it was immediately not going to match up regardless. But the thing that really did it for me that most people wouldn't know is that you barely know how to use a computer in the first place.
Yeah, you don't have a laptop.
I don't even have a laptop.
You don't
But
have a laptop.
But what are you
which
gonna
is
do? What are you gonna
crazy.
do? What are you gonna do with that? What do you? I'm a good guy. What the fuck are you gonna do? So you're gonna. First of all, this is a creep line. So you're gonna your girlfriend's gonna fall asleep naked, and you're gonna sneak pictures. And what are you gonna do with those? when you post those on social media or to a media outlet, you're basically saying, I'm a loser. I have no life. Here's some sneaky pictures that I took. What?
Yeah.
I get successful business. I would never.
It's
do
kind of
some
digital
bullshit like
rape.
that.
It's how I
A
feel.
little bit. Yeah.
You know?
Not a type move.
Oh, and by the way, I'll give you a headline. Ronda beat the shit out of that guy. By the way,
Oh yeah.
beat the shit out of that guy.
Really? Jesus.
Yeah.
Literally.
Whooped his ass. No, whooped his ass.
Because of that? For that specific
Probably a
reason,
lot
or
of
just in a
things.
different instance?
I'll let her speak on it.
Hmm?
I'll let her speak on it.
All right.
That's not my place.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
ESPN magazine is so cool the way they shoot those.
It's
not
so
really, It's
dope.
not really a nude anyway.
No.
No,
like
it's
just-
so
it's
dope,
just
man.
badass.
Yeah, it's
It's like
great.
a badass photo.
Yeah.
It looks great in those.
Yeah, she looked great.
Would you do the body issue?
100%. Yeah,
Jesus,
100%.
Brendan. Really?
But I don't want him to
that was
cover
like
up
a rhetorical
I don't
question.
want
I
to
always knew what the
I don't want him
answer
to cover up my piece. Like, why is there a guitar in front of my dick?
Yeah.
Like,
What would you wear on
give
your
me a
piece?
just give me a flute. Like, I just
Yeah.
want a flute and just huge like.
Just a random hand covering it.
At least show the shadow on the ground.
Yeah, Brian
or
behind
something.
me, just like.
No, yeah,
The
you did
shadow
the-
on the ground is genius.
You
At
did the
least show
Janet
some
Jackson one.
rabbits in sheer darkness.
Yeah, something, man.
Because of your piece.
I'm just holding a
Obscuring-
giant tortoise.
Obscuring the light.
What were you saying, Ed?
Was it like was it Prince and Janet Jackson that did one like that, where he was standing behind her covering her tits? Just do that for you.
That'd be
Brian's
awesome.
Brian's is all behind you.
That'd be dope.
But my fingers are open. There you go.
It looks like you're
Peekaboo.
squeezing Play-Doh. It's
Peekaboo.
just the dick's just coming out of the
Yep.
fingers. It's
Well,
like Play-Doh.
Yeah. Oh God. Hey, bro. I always tell
Graph too much?
No, that's the story I tell when I was showering my beautiful little boy, and he just all of a sudden I felt literally I was like, "Hey!" like that. I've never had this feeling. And I look and he's going, "Ha!" and he's got a hold of my dick, and he's squeezing that thing so fucking hard that the skin of my dick is piercing through his fingers, and I was like, "Get off!" And I had to peel his tiny fingers. He was like, "What's that thing? That's fucking hilarious!" Yanking on it. I mean, all his weight. I was like, "How do you get a 2-year-old madman off your wang?" No! My wife was like, "What's
You have
going
to
on?" I go,
prise
"Fucking the
fingers?
kid grabbed my John." He's like, I was like, "Dude, come on, man."
Little bastard.
Yeah, you little bastard. Anyway,
Oh, that's funny.
it's probably not the first time that's happened to a father.
No, definitely
Jesus Christ.
All right, we got one more current event, and this is basically this has got to be the coolest old man in the world. He's like in his mid-70s, 75-year-old guy living in a retirement home. He's one of the more mobile guys. He can still move around pretty good. So he was going on booze runs for everyone in his complex
This guy's
and
awesome.
selling all the booze for a serious profit, and then he was taking that profit and just spending it on hordes and hordes of hookers. It's awesome.
I gotta hold
And
on.
they
This
caught
guy's
him.
dope.
They
gentlemen.
caught him with a hooker underneath his bed.
This guy's
And they
dope,
kicked
man.
him out of the retirement
Oh,
home.
come on. You're 75. Let him do what the fuck he wants, including shoplift. You're
You've
75.
earned that right.
He had a real nice scheme going on. Who blew up his spot?
Yeah.
They caught a hooker underneath his
Ah,
bed.
fuck off. Fuck off,
Haters.
you administrators. Get a life. I'm sorry he wants to get laid at 75. Bra fucking O.
How about those whores coming to the retirement home?
So
Just
Hey,
like,
strong.
they're not
Oh.
whores. They're girls that need help with their rent. I beg your pardon, sir.
I mean, if you're getting passed around a retirement home, you've got to take a hard look at your life. Even as a hooker, you're not doing
Well,
pretty
if
good.
you were a hooker, I mean, wouldn't that be pretty good though? Like,
Hell
you don't want
yes.
to go
It's
to
probably
like
an
some
easy gig.
savage
That's
like,
true.
football party.
That's true.
You know, you
That's a
just
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
go
not
to the
gonna hurt
retirement
you.
Home. Yeah.
Couple old dicks, couple
Yeah.
Ah, wrinkles.
oh wrinkles,
Wrinkles.
just dust.
Ah, you're coming dust. Ah, what? White.
We call it antiquing, just old,
Snow white pubes.
No face shots, just antique.
just antiquing, just flour on their faces.
Wrinkles and white hair everywhere.
Just a gangbang full of flour.
and coming dust.
That'd be a better way to go. He's right
That would
though.
be
That's
sweet.
an easy gig.
Of course. They were talking about how with the introduction of Viagra, the doctors down in the retirement homes down in Florida were dealing with a shitload of venereal disease cases within the retirement community because they were all banging each other. And well, you're 75. You're like, you know what? I always wanted to bang you back in high school. Fuck it. Let's go. And they were just literally, the venereal disease was rampant.
Just forgot they had venereal disease.
That's right. Because
Oh shit! I had herpes. I didn't even remember.
Exactly. And they're taking a Viagra, and they were all able to do it, and it was just fucking going on constantly. Can't wait to retire.
There's some weird I bet some weird shit went down.
There's going to be an Onnit retirement home. I guarantee there'll be an Onnit gym with all kinds of crazy supplements by then. I'll just have I'll be able to cut diamonds with my dong.
And your balls are just going to be down to your ankles?
No, I'm going to cinch them up. They'll be the Onnit procedure. It'll be.
You can get a facelift on your balls?
I'll tighten those things right up. Just a tight old sack.
Just line them up in a row.
Yeah,
You know, you can't line your balls up because the reason one hangs lower is so they don't clang together.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you guys knew that.
That's a bad idea. That's
Is
not
that
the
true?
procedure.
Yes, very bad idea. That you
That
never
makes
want to line your
sense.
balls up. One ball always hangs lower so that they don't clang together.
Have you ever been fucking and had one of the balls like tuck in?
Sure have.
Tuck in like into some weird hiding place.
Sure have.
Freaks you out?
When you're like,
Yeah, you're like, oh
where'd
my
it
God,
go? And
I'm
then
Lance
you,
Armstrong.
Then you like poke on your abdomen and it like pops
Yeah,
back out.
Yep.
so weird.
That is
Yep.
weird.
So weird.
Yes, and you're some people are able to do that. They used to say the samurai used to do that before they went to battle. Tuck your balls up in your body.
Well, you
and
see
get
those
ready.
people who get kicked in the balls,
Uh-huh.
right? And I know that they're doing that. You know,
Uh-huh.
like on TV and something, like they'll have somebody kick them in the balls and they'll
Yeah.
just be like,
Oh, it's not there.
They're
Yeah,
just,
that
it's
makes
not
sense.
there. They tucked it in the little cave.
They tucked
They
it.
tucked it into the ball cave.
It's a
God
real talent.
Damn it! It
It's
is.
a real talent.
I do that. It's
I don't
just
think
for
I could do
discipline.
it manually.
I don't think I can do
freak
it.
Me
It
out.
just happens.
It just happens.
Like one to go up there and it freaks me out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Oh,
not
no.
into pushing my balls into my body. You just goose beak your fingers and just stuff it up there. I teach a workshop.
Goose.
You guys want to hide your balls in your abdomen? This is the guy. Take my workshop. $1,500 for the weekend. There's no lube. I just goose beak
Hands
my
on.
fingers. Look at something. I'll give you something to chew down on, and I stuff your balls right up your fucking body.
And free with every workshop. Brian's Guide to Penis Puppetry. Yeah.
That's right. You guys want to learn penis puppetry? This is the guy. Let's first
So
work on stuffing
stupid.
our balls in our body.
Okay, you got a creep line?
No creep line today.
I got one.
Oh, Jesus, Brendan.
All right. I thought Kay would have one. Let me read this. This is from Instagram. So creep line, Aubrey, just to let you know what we do.
Creepy stories.
It's a creepy story. Like we had one guy who would go to the Whole Foods and make tits out of the vegetables and touch them and draw on them and then watch people, like super weird stuff. We had another guy who was hooking up with some random girl on the couch, and when he was having sex, looked over and saw the dad was watching, like weird shit.
Damn.
Yeah. This one's not that creepy, but I'll read it. It's pretty short. So, this guy says, I was staying in a hostel. Of course, it was close quarters. One of my bunkmates was a total dweeb. And the one time he went drinking with us, he just gawked and pointed out every girl like he was 5. Each morning I'd wake up and homeboy would already be up, smiling ear to ear, J-Shop style. That's my brother. In his dress pants, watching me sleep. He goes, one day while he was out, I noticed his underpants had fallen near my suitcase, and they were MeUndies. So they were MeUndies underwear. These became my first pair of MeUndies. I took them, put them on. Sorry, man, you can't out-creep a creeper. Months later, I still have my balls nestled in your belongings. He must be saying this to the other guy. I replaced all my undies due to my first try. So his creep line story is he took his random dude's underwear, sweaty underwear.
And wears them now for
every day
spite.
In spite.
I'm wearing your
That's
underwear.
not that creepy, though.
It's just downright weird, and it's obviously a fetish to wear another man's sweaty, stained.
It's not that weird,
underwear.
though, is it?
I think it is, Brendan, but thank you. You've obviously done it.
I've worn some people's
And
underwears.
You're not
yeah.
my friend anymore.
Fake questions, Ev.
We'll underwear swap later, Brendan.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it, man. I don't care.
Fan questions.
All right, first fan question for today. This one comes from JPedo42. This is for Aubrey. If you could have Brian and Brendan take a substance with you, which would it be and why?
Let's get weird.
Take us on a deep dark road.
Let's get
Yeah,
these ego
I mean-
dicks out.
You know, honestly, the thing that I would enjoy doing with people that are funny and that are people I really like is a substance called wachuma. And wachuma comes from the San Pedro cactus, and it's a really old medicine. It was they served it for about 800 years in this place called Chavin in ancient Peru. And it kind of feels like you took a really good Molly and some mushrooms at the same time. but it lasts like 14 hours.
Oh, that's a little long for me.
But it's
Holy shit.
but it's
Better drink a lot of water before.
yeah. But it's man, it's just fun. It's like it's a real way to kind of it does connect you to your higher consciousness, but it's a fun experience to do. Like you can hang with your homies, you can go do stuff, you can hike, you can go
That
check
sounds
out other
awesome.
stuff, and so it's a real mobile kind of medicine that
called
isn't
what?
so heavy. It's called Wachuma.
And where do you get something like that?
There's a master Wachumero down in Peru named Don Howard that I go and get the Wachuma from. But it's a medicine from the San Pedro
just
cactus.
chew
which is
on
a
it?
legal cactus.
We
No,
might
it's
have to.
there's a way that they distill it. I don't even know the way. He wouldn't tell me. But there's a way that you distill the cactus to create Wachuma.
We may have to go down and do a vision quest with Aubrey.
I would
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
fun,
I'd be
man.
so
Like,
down.
You cruise around, you go see the tribes, you're cracking up, you're having a good time, and then at night you kind of bring it around for a ceremony and do some crazy shit. And
Yeah.
it's fun.
That
Just
sounds awesome.
Just the bottom of your feet, just covered in cactus quills. Just covered in cactus quills. Scorpion bites.
Yeah, you
Everything's
don't
a
care.
disaster.
You don't care.
Yeah.
It
You
sounds
just
fun.
piss on it with your eagle dick.
That
and
makes
it all
sense.
Goes away.
Just-
14
that's it.
hours is a long time, though.
I got a
man.
beak and a dick and some wings.
Yeah.
You do the math. I'm gonna fly and fuck.
Yeah, Wachuma would be the answer.
All right.
That
Next
sounds
one.
super interesting.
Yeah, it does.
And there's no side effects to it?
No, man. I mean, I left there. I actually did a documentary on it. It's called Wachuma. You can get to it from my site, AubreyMarcus.com. But it's, you feel fucking awesome. Like, I mean, you can be a little tired the next day if you didn't sleep, but you feel so light and like refreshed. It just takes the weight of life off you. You know, it's just like you feel so like, oh yeah, I remember how fun this thing is. Like everything is.
Is it
fun.
considered a drug, though? No, right? Because it's all natural?
It is. Well,
It is?
unfortunately, a lot of these natural things, from weed to anything, is considered a drug here in the States. But down there, it's part of their heritage, and it's not considered a drug in Peru. So, we're depending
Peru.
on where you go.
Peru.
Chuma.
Sounds
yeah.
awesome.
Peru, I'm coming to you.
Peru.
I'm
Mexico, I
coming
don't
to
think it's illegal either.
And you can get it there?
There may be some places, I don't know.
You can get everything in Mexico, including
Yeah.
a pet elephant. Okay.
They used to, yeah.
take an
They call it San
elephant.
Pedro, is what, because when the church came, they changed the name from Wachuma to San Pedro because St. Peter was the person who guarded the pearly gates of heaven, and so this substance, makes you feel like you're entering into this
Dang.
heavenly state. So they called it San Pedro and changed it a little bit. But I like to go back to pre-missionary style with the Wachuma.
That's pretty dope.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
What else you got to have?
Wachuma.
All right. This one is from Powerful MOC. Did Brendan think about buying Rain off Mark Munoz? And side question, does he ever plan on opening a gym or starting a team?
No, never. Not at all.
All of those?
Yeah.
You don't like being around a lot of fighters all day?
No, like I like to teach. I like to help people, but as far as committing my time to a gym, I would never do
Are
that.
you a good teacher?
Yeah.
Do you think? You are.
Yeah, very good. But it's not what I want to do. Like I wouldn't want to dedicate my life to running a gym.
What about after you stopped fighting?
No. Mm-mm.
No.
No.
Out the
I
game.
like to entertain. Yeah.
All right, fair
Yeah.
enough.
No, that didn't even cross my mind. I
So-
would never do that.
100% absolutely not. Fuck no is your answer.
Correct.
I'd like to open a gym though, and we could
That'd be a
podcast out of it.
No,
And
absolutely
train.
terrible idea.
Train.
Oh, have you met Brian, the horrible business idea?
The worst-
Callan? The worst.
business ideas.
Dude, he called me one day, right? We have a successful merchandise business, whatever. He goes, bro, listen to this, man. He goes, I was in Dallas. First of all, he lies all the time. He goes, I got this guy, man. I know this guy. He's selling koozies,
He lies
bro.
all the time.
He goes, he's selling koozies. I go, what? He goes, he's selling koozies. You know, you put your beer in the koozie. I go, bro, that's so old school, man. And I go, how much can you get it for? He goes, I don't know, man. Like 50 cents. We'll sell them for $2. I go, bro, you know how many koozies we'd have to sell to make a fucking profit? And then
I'm
he gets,
trying to do my part for the business.
Yeah,
'cause
it was
I'm
his
the
idea.
worst. I never have ideas.
and then when he gets back, we sit down. I go, so this koozie thing, tell me about it. He goes, all right, I don't know the guy. I saw a guy on the side of the road selling koozies. All right, and I got the idea. And I said,
Like,
all right.
that's my lame attempt at helping the business. Hey, dude, how about we do this?
And I said, yeah, Brian, maybe
Bandanas.
we could sell used electronics too. He goes, that's a good idea. God damn it, Brian.
Damn it. Use electronics. Fighter and the Kid. Get your
Get your
DVD.
VCRs.
Get your VCRs here. Get your Fighter and Kid VCRs to watch old reruns of Mad TV that I was on.
Next question.
We're gonna go back a little bit to what you were just talking about Brian exaggerating stories every now and then. I know you're always looking at your Twitter, so you'll probably know what I'm talking about right now. But we got a lot of tweets convinced that Brian has confused himself with the life of Chris Weidman, who has the exact same shit story that Brian told as his own story
What's
on
the
the
story,
last
though?
podcast. That you shit your pants in front, or you were on a date and you shit in the toilet or in the bathtub or something like that.
You shit.
No.
You said you shit.
Hiking? The hiking?
No.
story?
You said you're with a girl.
Yeah.
You shit into the trash can.
Oh,
That
yeah.
one.
Threw it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you think that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the only guy that's done that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I must have stolen it from Chris Weidman when he
Yeah.
told that story on that other podcast that I must always listen to.
Yeah.
Did
No.
Chris Weidman do that? He took a
Yeah,
shit?
no, he did.
That's how he met
on
his wife.
First date with his wife. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
You took
Yeah,
a shit
you
in
go.
a trash can?
Yeah.
You
Shit
know
in the
what?
trash can.
I
He
always
told
thought
his wife, was
Chris
like,
and
"I
I
gotta
have a
shit."
lot in common. We strike in a similar way. We roll the same way, and we shit in plastic.
Yeah,
bags.
I saw all that. It's stupid. Yeah, no.
I feel like everyone knows at least a
Has
friend of a
done
friend who has
something.
shit in a trash
Yeah.
You
can.
got to
Yeah.
do something with your poo.
That's ridiculous.
In a trash can?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You have to?
It happens. I
Evan chat.
I have, and I have a friend who also has.
There you go.
So there we go. I now know 3 grown men who have shit in
Yeah,
trash
I have
cans.
not, but yeah.
I've j-
You've shit in
I
a trash
shit in
can?
the ocean once. I felt bad about it.
I've
when I
done
shit
that
in the
too.
ocean.
Wow.
I did it on purpose. I didn't feel bad about it. I did it.
Was it one of the 14 hours you were high as shit and shit in the ocean?
No, you just go out and you hike to this secluded ocean place, right?
Yeah.
And so your choices are you go where all the people are and your girls that you brought with you,
Yeah.
or you just swim out a little far and,
And
you
just float along.
float along.
Where the girl's like, what are you doing? I'm just going to swim out a little. Don't worry
The
about
ocean
it.
is polluted enough.
just hope that the tide takes it away from
That's
the
it.
beach.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah.
Girls are like, "Why is there shit, Aubrey?" Just a giant turd that doesn't
Giant
dissolve.
rattlesnake.
Yeah.
just fucking.
Just a heavy poo.
All right, we'll do one more. This one is from Kid C, and he wants to know. This one's for Aubrey, and he wants to know if Miss Miller has any intentions of fighting professionally.
Yeah, so she's awesome, and it's fun to watch her go through this. She started doing jiu-jitsu tournaments, and then she slammed some girl, broke her arm, started crying, bawling immediately, and so that deterred her for a little while. Then she went back and did another tournament and got in an armbar herself, didn't tap, and got her arm the capsule popped in her elbow, and so that kind of deterred her for a little bit. So she's kind of going through all
For sure,
the
tap immediately.
Well, for
Yeah,
sure,
I
tell her not
know,
to.
I
Tell her
know.
not to fight.
She's such a hard ass.
Tell her not
Yeah.
to fight, man.
So if she did it, it would just be to kind of prove that
She can do it.
she could, get to that level. But I don't know how interested she is anymore because she was, Miss United States.
Yeah, don't
Beauty
get hit in the
Queen.
face if you're Miss United
She's
States.
too pretty for that
Yes.
bullshit.
Right. But that's also what kind of draws her because everybody's telling her not to do it. So if I tell her not to do it too, it's probably going to be worse. So
Yeah.
you can't tell your girlfriend not to do
It's
that.
funny how you
idea.
just hate. He hates that I even spar boxing. He's like, "Don't.
Can't
What are you
stand
doing?
it.
Why are you
Yeah.
doing that?
I
What is
told
the
you. I
point?"
told your girl that when she told me she was doing.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why?
And you're
Why?
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom to that. For sure.
It's not smart, man.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting paid a ton of money to get hit in the head.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
For what?
Because in case I get in a street fight. In case I do a lot of street fighting. I train karate. I train in karate a lot. So the only time I was in better shape when I wasn't training karate was when I did motocross. So motocross and karate are my two favorite
I don't
sports.
know what you're talking about.
That makes me
Aubrey,
fucking
been in
better.
many street fights?
A lot.
Only one.
Really?
Only one.
Please
yeah.
tell us what happened.
Yeah, I was training to actually take a fight because I'd never been in a street fight and I wanted to know what that was all about. So, and I had a bunch of fighter friends and we were partying. It was like Labor Day or something like that. And I go take the girls to my car and then my buddies who are all fighters, they go in another car. And as I get to the car, the car is surrounded by a couple dudes and one dude's throwing pepperoni slices on top of my car.
That's
I'm
awesome,
like,
kind of.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, what the fuck are you doing, man? And he's like, oh, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. And then my fiance at the time, had gone around to the other side. And she's like, why are you throwing pepperoni on the car? And he's like, I'll put my meat where I want, bitch. So that's her,
This
right?
guy's awesome. No, I'm just kidding.
What a terrible
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. He's like,
Or
and so he's like,
awesome.
don't disrespect my boyfriend. And he just takes her then and slams her face first into the car.
What?
Bang! And I'm on the other side of the car. And I've never lost memory in any amount of drinking and any amount of these crazy psychedelic drinks. I've never lost memory of what happened, but everything from there is spotty. I remember flying around the car. I saw the guy's jaw and I just smashed it as hard as I
Yeah,
could.
hell yeah.
Dropped him, but then there was 3 other people and me and my fiance. So she jumps on the back of this one guy and then I'm fighting off these 2 guys. And honestly, I have virtually no memory of the fight other than weird instances. I remember one guy threw a round kick at me, which I kind of checked and was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Is that? And
Who
so
does
I kicked
that?
him back. Like, okay, that's the game we're playing.
Yeah.
Like, kicked him back. And then I like just remember these flashes. And then the next thing I remember, I'm standing up in the street and I'm going, where'd they go? Where'd they go? Just fully standing. Like, where'd they go? Where'd they go? Like total loss of memory. Like adrenaline got so high that I had no idea. And the valets are like, they fucking ran this way.
They took off because you're beating the brakes off them.
they
Was your
took
girl
off.
all right?
She's all right. She had a bloody nose and bloody lips, and
God, who does that?
I got a concussion from someone who hit me
Did
behind
they catch
the
the
head.
fuckers?
No.
No, I mean,
No.
Can we
No.
still catch them? Let's go look.
Hey,
Let's go look
can you
for
tell the
them.
guy who's never been in
I have
street
looked for
fights?
him, I remember.
Did someone catch him and report this?
Well, I hope they reported it to the authorities. That shit gets me going, though. That's a terrible.
It was weird, man. But then after that, I was like, you know what? I didn't need to take a fight anymore. I was like, all right.
No,
that
yeah,
kinda,
you're good.
Yeah,
That's
that
awesome,
kind of just
man.
showed that if I needed to,
Wow.
things would be all right. Weird situation though. I still don't understand why I don't remember it. Like I
Kind of
really-
just went
that's
red, right?
That's life
Yeah.
or death in a way because you don't know who they are, and
Yeah.
what they're gonna do.
Oh, no, yeah,
you know?
exactly. And I like came to standing in the street. Like what the fuck? It makes
and
no
then
sense. to me.
running.
Yeah.
Dude,
Well, moral of the story: don't fuck with Aubrey Marcus.
I
There
got
you
in a
go.
fight with
Pick on
six
Brian.
dudes, and I just fucking jumped, and I was like, and I kicked, and I fucking kicked all of them at the same time. I don't know how it happened, but they died, and I felt so bad. I killed them.
With one kick.
So stupid.
Holding.
Aubrey, thanks for coming on, man.
Aubrey
Thanks,
Marcus, CEO of Onnit, best supplements on the planet, and an amazing. You guys hear how we talk about it? It's awesome. If you want to live hard, then get hard. How do you do it, Brendan? Brendan, how do you live?
I live hard.
Live hard.
Aubrey, where can they find you? At Aubrey Marcus on Twitter.
Yeah, everything is Aubrey Marcus. At Aubrey Marcus, AubreyMarcus.com. Onnit, ONNIT. You guys know all that.
There it is.
Booyah.
There it is.
Booyah. And ladies and gentlemen, come see me this weekend, Gotham Comedy Club, Friday, Saturday, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, Gotham Comedy Club on 23rd Street and 8th Avenue in New York City.
When's
my
your
favorite
special,
city.
Brian?
My special is the next weekend, Brendan. We got May 24th, 7 o'clock, 9:30. Tickets are $10.
Who's opening for you?
Well, there's a rumor that Mr. Joe Rogan will be down there with me. So I don't know if you guys like him.
And is the entire Fire and the Kid team going to be there?
Apparently, the whole Fighter and the Kid team are going to be there, and they're sending an Onnit chopper. So I'm so excited about. They're going to use the Onnit helicopter to bring me in. I'm going to land on the roof. It's going to be really exciting.
Love it. The
It's
Fire and the Kid shop.
Shaped like an eagle, and you slide
Yeah,
down
just,
the dick.
just
That's
an
exactly
eagle.
right.
It's like the ladder's a
Shaped
big
like an
dick.
eagle with just a big old dong that I'm going to slide down fireman style. Irvine.improv.com. Get your tickets now.
Fight Companion Podcast, Joe Rogan and myself this Saturday.
I'll be there too.
Yeah, oh really? Dope, man.
Yep.
7 a.m. Things just got a lot better. Aubrey Marcus will be there. 7 a.m. for the Thrilla in Manila with Frankie Egger, Uriah Faber. The Fighter and the Kid Shop.com. Next week, restocking chicken head, black belt t-shirts, and Tyga tank tops. This is the Fire and the Kid. We're out.